Hey guys, welcome to Psalm 58. Wow, this one was a really tough one to get a picture for. Oh my gosh, I was like, what? I didn't want to make it seem like something that was taken out of like Goosebumps or something like, scary. So I want to read you from my Amplified Bible is the Bible that I study from, and that's the one that that's my best friend Bible. So I use the Passion Translation. I said this last time, that's got such beautiful visuals, the Passion Translation. So let me just read from you, because I always start out in my Amplified and then I go over to the Passion for like kind of a spin on it, a different visual, but my Amplified really kind of gave me a whole different kind of visual this week. So reading from Amplified, Psalm 58, starting at verse 8, speaking about the judges. So this one is all about the judges, that there's a judge of the judges, right? So this one says, let them, the unrighteous, be as a snail dissolving slime as it passes on. Okay, so imagine if we were to illustrate that. Let them be as a snail dissolving slime. Ugh, yeah, you can see it in your head, right? Like this drip, drip as it's kind of dissolving. Or a festering saw which wastes away. Oh, okay. So I chose not to do that either. And then, or like the child to which a woman gives untimely birth that has not seen the sun. So those are just like really powerful graphics of wasting away, right? Like a snail dissolving into slime, a festering wound that wastes away, or like a child that, doesn't see the light of day. So like I was like, oh my gosh, this is just really kind of very graphic, So then it goes on, before your pots can feel the thorns that are placed under their feet, he will take them away as with a whirlwind, the green and the burning ones alike. Ooh, okay. I'm on verse 10 now in the Amplified. The unyieldingly righteous shall rejoice when he sees the vengeance. He will bathe his feet in the blood of the wicked. So this one was it's a powerful psalm. It's just a really powerful psalm that there is a judge that sits above the earth and does judge the earth. So I didn't know what way to go with this psalm, because I always want to I like to find the uplift, the promises, more than the, I like to look at the promises and journal the promises of God. So then the last verse was my saving grace. Verse 11 says, men will say, surely there is a reward for the uncompromisingly righteous. Surely there is a God who judges the earth. So I was starting out with, when I was trying to figure out how to portray this psalm, I was kind of in like a gavel, like a judge's gavel, but I don't know, that's just kind of boring. So what I thought was to do one of our cutesy girls, so her little robe, the traditional, I don't even know if it's traditional, it's like a stereotypical king's robe, has that the white collar and then the little black pieces, black specks on it. So I thought I'd put a robe on her. That collar will start to pop out as a robe, pearls around her neck, because she, if you're uncompromisingly righteous, you are the pearl of great price, and then that princess crown on top. So that was just kind of how I came to a picture on this week's psalm that was not going to give children nightmares, So, and not to mock the word of God, because it is a very serious psalm, that there is a judge on the earth. There is a judge of what we do. We all will be held accountable. So not to make light of that, or not to discredit that in any way, but just to know that I didn't want to illustrate that in my Bible. So here I want to take note that in her little face, I'm taking more note of the hair and the shading on the hair. And I'm going to pan in a lot closer. So let me just kind of explain it this way, that when I'm going in and I'm laying in any kind of shading, I kind of just put in a quick wash with my watercolors. But then what happens is there's just these natural deposits happen, and there's just these lights and these darks that I can then take and sort of exploit and build upon, because they're already there. So and let me try to explain that a different way. If you're looking at her hair, there's just already some dark strands and some light strands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in. Let me just pause that by saying, somebody asked me how my pages stay so flat. I dry the front of the page and the back of the page, and that really does keep them in a flat way, because sometimes the water is kind of pressing in on the back of your page, because the back of my page, that other page is not gessoed yet. So if I just dry the back of it, it sort of just gets the paper to relax, and it stretches it out on both sides of the paper. So just a side there. So coming back in and like looking at her hair, I'm going to take the darks and the lights, and I'm going to pop them up more. So I know that doesn't make sense yet, but when you're shading, always try to think of like where your sun is coming from. I got a specific request to kind of talk about shading just a little bit more. So the back of her hair is just going to be darker. I imagine that there's just like little pieces just kind of hanging out under her tiara. So now here what I'm doing is I'm finding the little pieces of hair, and I'm just kind of popping them in where the darker shadows are. So you see how many different, and that just happened because I laid in my watercolors. So I didn't do any of that on purpose, but I'm taking what's there and I'm highlighting it and shading it so that the individual pieces of hair really start to stand out. So go in really close and just sort of really look at the darks and the lights. I will come back in with a lighter color as well and start with that too. Do you see how that just happens? Like you just kind of put in your shadows, and then the shadows create the lights, which creates the little individual strands of hair. So you got to go slow, 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 slow. This is how I do grass too. If I'm doing like a finite kind of grass drawing, I do it the same way. I just put in a couple of different colors and then find what's there and use it to create more depth and more shadow. When you create more depth and more shadow, just by the very nature of that, you're creating more light, right? So like we always say that the drawing is in the lights and the darks. So take your time on her hair this week. That is a gold marker. It is a Crayon de Nash gold marker that I thought I would pop in and use. I didn't go into this thinking that I was going to use that, but I had it and I thought, well, why not? So it has like a little bit of a metallic kapow to it. So I put that on and used that up. I think also, so I used on this bottom part here on her little collar and her little necklace, that is a white gouache. So it's just very opaque. And then I'll come in, that's a Jelly Roll white that I'm popping in the highlights on. Just kind of getting in all my little gold highlights and getting them perfect. So I have to add in the collar. Just looked, you saw it just looked kind of like blah on the bottom there. So I'm using a black colored pencil and I put in a scraggly line, because in my head that's like a furry collar, that thing, like now you see it, right? So it's a furry collar. So I did a scraggly line so it kind of looked like that, and I just have like very abstract organic kind of squares and different shapes to highlight the black marks on it. I don't even know what those black marks are, but that's the stereotypical king, So popping in with the black just a little bit under her tiara there, because there would be a shadow under her tiara. So once you start playing with the shadows and once you start playing with the hair, I promise you it's just addicting. You could get lost in it and kind of like go on it forever. So that's what I did. I just had so much fun kind of going back in and sort of seeing it. So I've got the words are going to be going in. Um, so and I have in my head that I want to put a flower border on this as well. So, and the psalm, the Passion Translation had a really pretty version of verse 11. I thought that was prettier than the Amplified. There's a great reward in loving God. And I thought, "Ah, that is the promise that I can settle on. That is the promise that I like to put in my Bible. There is a great reward in loving God." So, and then I wanted to have the flowers kind of going down on the side as as a visual stop for my eyes, and two, that I just think when we love God and we follow Him, to the best of our ability, when we really are trying to walk in righteousness, there is just this sweet fragrance that we get to live in, and it just gets to be part of our very everyday, this sweet fragrance of God. So that's why I wanted to get those flowers kind of popped in there, and I don't know, I just like that. So I know that we've done a lot of this cutesy face. This seems to be one that everybody kind of really likes. So I'm sorry if you're getting bored with her, but I really did have a problem. It was either the cutesy face or this gavel coming down like on a judge's, a judge's stand. So I thought that she would be more fun to do and just more endearing than a judge's gavel. So here I've got, I did outline the little flowers in a colored pencil, and I'm going to come back in and do a little bit of pops of white. So you can see that I've got a lot of water kind of pooling there on my edge. You just have to dry. If your pages are wrinkly, dry more. Be more concise and careful with your water application. Don't, if you put in a whole lot of water, your page is going to become like the sea. It's going to get all wrinkled, not wrinkly, but wavy, If that's happening, I would say use less water, be more controlled in your water application, and dry the front, dry the back, and then go back in between layers, just completely dry. I promise you that it will work. So that's going to just about finish up Psalm 58. I have to put in my little shadows, So I will see you next week on Psalm 59. You can catch the doodles at praiseheart.net. Go under events and classes to the Psalm study, and you will find all 59 doodle sheets so far. Have a great week, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.